Welcome to another groundbreaking episode of Digital Dentistry Decoded, brought to you by the Institute of Digital Dentistry. I'm your host, Dr. Ahmad Al-Hassiny, and today we're embarking on a fascinating journey into the world of AI-powered smile design. At IDD, we understand that the world of dentistry is rapidly evolving, and the shift from traditional to digital workflows can be daunting. That's why we're committed to demystifying this transition through our podcast, bringing insights from global digital dentistry leaders directly to you, and helping you stay ahead of this ever-changing field. Today we're excited to have a true innovator joining us, Ralph Georg, the mastermind behind SmileFy, a cutting-edge smile design software that's revolutionizing cosmetic dentistry. Ralph is here to share his insights about how artificial intelligence is redefining what's possible in our field and how it can help you elevate your aesthetic outcomes while streamlining your workflow. Together we'll explore the powerful tools and techniques that are shaping the future of smile design and how you can harness the power of AI to take your practice to the next level. Get ready to discover the future of automating aesthetics and transforming your practice. Whether you're a seasoned cosmetic dentist or just starting your digital dentistry journey, this episode is for you. Prepare to be inspired, uncover groundbreaking innovations, and unlock the secrets to creating stunning smiles with greater precision and efficiency than ever before. Join me as I sit down with Ralph Georg to decode the future of AI-driven cosmetic dentistry. Let's unravel the many mysteries of automating aesthetics together and transform the way you approach smile design. It's time to elevate your practice, embrace the digital revolution, and stay at the forefront of this rapidly evolving field. Let's dive in. Today we are lucky to have Ralph Georg with us. How are you doing, Ralph?
Thank you very much. I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, my friend. I'm well. Just another day in the office, really. Ralph, you have been involved in digital dentistry for a very long time. I'd love for the audience to, maybe they haven't heard about you or what you do. Ralph is the creator and CEO of SmileFy, which is one of the leading smile design softwares out there. Please, Ralph, introduce yourself and let us know your history, because I know it's quite a rich history in smile design.
Yeah, my name is Ralph Georg. My history in dentistry is very interesting and controversial. So the whole timeline of my development in this area and in this expertise, I started in my 20s as a musician. In my 30s, I was studying a lot of stuff from Master of Arts, Master of Science, International Management, Audio Engineering, a lot of masters and studies. And in my 40s, I decided to start business, to do my own software, to do my own projects. Now, the way I got into dentistry, it was just by chance. It was like a decision made over dinner with wine and crazy and beautiful ideas. And we had a very interesting discussion before. I think it's important to be naive and to be a little bit stupid, to have a great idea and to say, I'm going to do it. I'm going to start something completely new. And you have no idea about anything, what's going to come, right? But this point in life of you being stupid, a little bit drunk, and naive brings you to great ideas. As soon as you dive deep into all this area, you realize, oh my God, that's a huge area of expertise. What have I done? And then you can give up, option A. Option B, you can continue and learn and learn and learn. And then you realize the more you learn, the less you know, because the big picture gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And that was the interesting point where I used and developed a very interesting technology for dentistry for the first time in 2016. Facial analysis, right? When nobody had any sort of automation in dentistry at this time. And then suddenly we could do the 2D smile design in just minutes compared to hours before. And that was the point where I realized, studying everything what is in dentistry, there is so much potential from the technology part and so much innovation could be done But of course, the pace of developing SmileFy was limited by my understanding of smile design and dentistry. And then with time, learning more and more and more, we changed the whole vision actually of SmileFy from a smile simulation, which is useless, has only one purpose: motivate the patient, show the patient the advantage of an aesthetic treatment, and then go to the 3D smile design and use all the digital records that we have now available to make correct decisions, to analyze, to design properly. And it's interesting because the 2D smile simulation could be, I take my head and I put on my head the body of an athlete. And I say, it's going to be you. No, it's not. It's not. I can train. My body's going to be different. That's the same with the 2D smile. That's not you. It's the advantage of an aesthetic treatment. And from that moment, my mindset changed completely. And we started a complete new cycle of development and innovation.
Incredible. Before we dive deep into some of these points that you mentioned, some of our viewers, you'd assume most people would know what smile design is, especially those who are in the digital space and listen to this podcast, but some of them may not know. If you could give us a quick breakdown, so obviously with 2D smile design, there's so many different options out there. You have it in scanner software, you have it in third-party software, it's super popular and it's super mainstream. With 3D smile design, it's much less accessible. There's very few options in my understanding. Something like Exocad smile design, which is quite hard to use for the average dentist. If you could just let our viewers know, the main differences between 2D and 3D smile design. And so 2D is on a picture and 3D, obviously you need a scan, I assume.
Yeah. The very important moment of changing everything in the workflow and in the development was when I tried to convert the 2D smile design into a 3D smile design. And whatever I did, calculating, automation, development, everything, it wasn't precise. It wasn't precise at all, right? The result was completely different. And I started to study, and I wrote a study explaining how 3D objects move into space, and what is the most important part and aspect, how the outline of a tooth changes due to rotation to the front. A 2D smile design is a fixed outline or a fixed shape that was created based on a picture or based on photography from a beautiful smile. But this smile or this shape encodes the frontal rotation of this canine in the shape. It means if your patient requires a different rotation of the canine, the outline changes. It's not going to be the same. When circles or curves change into a 3D space, what is the issue or the result for the tooth? Embrasures change. Closed embrasures became open embrasures. Square incisal embrasures become round incisal embrasures. And then suddenly the smile looks different than the 2D. I wrote all this study, measurements, axial angulations, angulations to the front, and I presented my study and everything, and I discussed my conclusions with Professor Marcus Blatz from University of Pennsylvania. And he told me, you are right. We had the same study written 10 years ago, a little bit different, more mathematical, not so visual, but our conclusion was the same. Then I understood, instead of spending energy and resources trying to create something, a bridge between 2D and 3D, which it doesn't work, why not simplifying the 3D smile design and making it accessible for everyone? The more I developed the 3D smile design, the bigger became the expertise and the deepness of the decision that you need to make for the final result. So suddenly I had like 100 decisions that you need to make to finalize your smile, and that has nothing to do with the 2D stuff. Because in the 2D, you have no information. For example, not only gingival margins, crown lengthening, the final ideal post-op design, how much you prep, because like Professor Marcus Blatt said, prep, it's just making space for the veneer. But making space for the veneer depends on what material you use for the final restorations. Do you use Emex? Do you use zirconia? It's going to be 0.45 millimeters, or it's going to be 0.2 millimeters, or it's going to be composite veneers. And then the thickness doesn't matter. Do you need to cover the color of the prep? Do you need to achieve in the final result BL1 when your prep is dark? And all these aspects have nothing to do with the initial design of 2D, right? And then I said, okay, there is a dead end. So bring everything what you can and simplify the 3D smile design in a way that we can give access to decades of expertise for everyone, even unexperienced dentists that are at the beginning of their careers, or a lab technician. It is a privilege to have the lab technician that has 20 or 15 years of experience and can create for you a beautiful wax-up. But if we want to increase patients' care and we want to offer more patients a beautiful smile, then we need to offer the expertise to everyone. So integrating studies like axial angulations, zenith analysis, beautiful studies that were created by pioneers of smile design like Galip Gurel 15 years ago in his first book of veneers and aesthetics, zenith analysis, axial angulations, red proportions, all this stuff, automated, accessible with one click. Suddenly everyone can see, analyze, improve the result. And I think that's important to bring all this expertise now in all the technology with AI to get better designs and better treatment plans.
AI is a super interesting topic, especially for something like smile design. I know you've been working on it as a part of our SmileFy WhatsApp group. Do you see that being the future of CAD design, AI driven?
100%. AI is so powerful. Soon we will release a new version for the 3D smile design, for the mock-up design, additive design. Can be done in 3 minutes. I mean, if you can offer the patient a mock-up printed in the first appointment, you design in 3-4 minutes the 3D design, and then you print and you put it in the mouth, it's going to change the whole first appointment workflow. And the patient is excited. It's the immediate emotional reaction of, I see the advantage. Wow. The difference that I was analyzing and not realizing at the beginning that I change actually so much the workflow is that in SmileFy, you can build the projects on top of the latest one. So, for example, when you have the mock-up, you don't need to start a new project, buy a copy, and then create the pre-op ideal design, and then the veneers. You can just take the project the way it is, modify the design, the same design, make it pre-op ideal, and then print. And then you have a version 2. So instead of doing calibration all over again, you have the first project with a digital patient, and on top, you can build all these other projects. The interesting and very, very exciting thing that changes now a lot of stuff in technology, even if the technology is super expensive with all the clouds and calculations and all the stuff, but it's going to be so interesting because one of the big projects that I have is beyond revolutionary. And, you know, until now, we have templates that we use. And we need to download templates, and we have different forms and all the stuff.
These are the wire
right
form.
Now,
you're talking about the wire form smile templates.
Yeah, exactly. But I analyzed thousands of cases, and very often I see patients with beautiful teeth, just the size is not proper. We now segment the teeth automatically. And instead of using templates for the smile design, I had yesterday a case, for example. Oh, the laterals are too small. I want bigger laterals. We segment and duplicate the laterals. We create them automatically in 1 minute as design templates, and we resize them. We didn't change the smile. So the biological, genetic, facial harmony of the patient is exactly the same. We just have patient's teeth in the right size, ratio, improved, in the face. And I compared the smiles and I found they look so good. Because, in a natural smile, if the canines, centrals, laterals, they are genetic, biological, somehow in harmony with the face, then we just make this small change and we have a complete different way to design smiles. Why should I use a form from other templates when I can keep the facial harmony and energy of the patient exactly the same it is, but improved? All these small details are going to change so much in future by just one click. One click, computer calculates, sends you back the templates, the design, you verify, you modify, print.
Amazing. I mean, what it's sounding like to me is just super tailored smile designs for each patient rather than, a template that's used and fitted to the patient's face. You're talking about like genuinely tailored smile designs for each patient. You've been involved in smile design for a long time. But you mentioned back in 2016 and since then the DSD app and now SmileFy. What have you seen like in the industry over the years? Have you seen any major changes? I mean, to me, as a clinician, a lot of people talk about smile design. And I think it's like, at the time, it was like a hype word, kind of like 3D printing, digital smile design. In a way, I think the hype has died down a little bit. I think rather than being a hype word, it's just the way that we do things now, like any cosmetic dentist worth their salt should be doing some form of smile design and planning. It's not just the patient comes in and you cut their teeth and you send it to the lab. I don't know about you, and I'd love to hear your insight into this. I still kind of see the adoption of these smile design softwares still being at like the top 5% doctors, the really hardcore aesthetic clinicians, the guys who are lecturing. To me, that's the main ones that are really adopting these smile design protocols in-house. Is that your sentiment as well? I guess what I'm asking is, do you see smile design being something for the clinician or for the lab or for both? And for dentists, are we really seeing a lot of adoption of smile design in the practice? And I'm talking about 3D smile design, not 2D.
Yeah, it is a niche. People really are excited about technology. And when they see the advantage of bringing all the digital data together, chairside in one system, having the overview in the first step of a procedure of smile design, seeing the CBCT bone, seeing the intraoral scan, having immediately an idea about we need ortho, we need a perio, we need a gingivectomy, gum recession, correction, all these ideas and visual information combined in the decision-making of the smile design changes immediately the way you look at the patient. SmileFy is a chairside system, right? It's a chairside system, and that's our market. That's our focus. exocad, 3Shape, the best softwares, right, in the world. Lab side, where you can do a lot of stuff, are very complex and very complicated for the day-by-day use when the patient comes in, offering a smile design, designing, printing, exporting. That's why we create our system open, so you can do the quick smile design, 3D. You can export open project. You can import in lab, in exocad, in 3Shape. You can design your veneers. You can mill. You can do everything you want. The excitement at the beginning is high. Then case by case, everybody grows actually his expertise designing case by case. But it's very interesting and important for us. For example, in the courses, I see doing all these hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cases with the students in our courses. I see immediately what is the struggle. Where do we need more automation? Where do we need more AI? What should we focusing on? And then we can improve and improve and improve and automate and make it quick and easy. And to a certain point, it's going to be so easy, it's going to be a button click. And you are going to have the smile design with all the expertise and studies included in the decision making. You will analyze, you will eventually modify, and you will print.
And SmileFy does both 2D and 3D, is that correct?
Yeah.
But your focus is squarely on 3D. You see that as being the future of smile design and where all the benefits are.
Yeah, of course. And I'm very clear in the message when we have the courses, and to every single user of SmileFy. 2D Smile Design has only one purpose. The question that you ask your patient, do you see the advantage of an aesthetic treatment? Here is the smile simulation done in 1 minute, driven by AI, smile curve, whatever it is. Do you see the advantage? When the patient is open and see, tell me more, we go immediately to the 3D Smile Design. CBCT, many dentists have CBCT and DICOM machines. Use high definition scans, put the scan into SmileFy. It's going to be calibrated automatically with the intraoral scan. You have details for the treatment plan so clear in front of your eyes, visually displayed. It's so important because with every single case and with every single decision, the expertise of the team in your office grows. We have, for example, a patient. Oh, I want new incisal edges. Teeth are too short. I want longer teeth. DICOM, intraoral scan, facial scan, picture. Calibrating the intraoral scan with the DICOM file, you see immediately the problem is the gingivectomy. Soft tissue covers the teeth. They are long enough. With facially driven smile design, you can design the height of the teeth even more in harmony with the face. See the bone margin, immediately planning the crown lengthening, and everything is so precise. You measure the biological width, you measure everything super precise. You can display your patient and say, if you like this facially driven smile design, that's the required treatment plan. We don't have the biological width, crown lengthening, osteoplasty, gingivectomy, that's the result. And it's actually the vision of Galip Gurel, Christian Coachman, Marcelo Calamita, 10, 15 years ago, the digital smile design as a digital complete treatment plan, digitally displayed. And now we do have the technology to say, that's your result. If you like it, we don't touch you first, doing irreversible changes on your teeth. And then on the way, we realize, oh, that's not possible because no, we do have the complete treatment plan digitally done. Do you like it? Yes. We can replicate this result because it's a 3D planning. Cool. If the patient says, I like the smile, we change the smile. Do you like it now? Okay, that's going to be your result. Then you have this promise to the patient, and it's a beautiful technology to be able to fail digitally, replan, learn, and then having a treatment plan that is really watertight, right?
It's incredible. And honestly, anyone who is excited or interested in dentistry should be just blown away. Like what dentistry is, just hearing you talk through that these days, it's mind-blowing. It really is. The technology we have, you mentioned CBCT, scanners, face scanners, and they all come together to create these amazing treatment plans. And even in my experience, I mean, once you get a smile design correct and you've planned it out, the execution is actually quite straightforward. I think a lot of people are quite intimidated by cosmetic treatment, not being able to deliver. But the beautiful thing about smile design, especially 3D smile design, is that once you have that wax up, let's say printed, and the patient likes it, it's relatively easy to complete the treatment, I mean, most of us are relatively comfortable with tooth preparation. And if you have this design and you give it to the lab and you tell the lab, make it like this, it's almost guaranteed the result is going to be like you planned. There's no guesswork. If the patient was happy with the plan from the start, they're likely to be happy with the plan as it's executed. I think that's the whole beauty of smile design. I want to touch on a point. I think there's a lot of good learning points for anyone who is listening. You mentioned some of the issues and common mistakes that you find through your students and the things that you try to make your software better and better to help with these things. What are some of the common things that you see dentists or students or anyone? What are the common areas that you see people making mistakes with smile design and cosmetic treatment?
Yeah. One thing that I learned from Russell Young, he's your colleague, your neighbor, right, in Australia. When I designed smiles and I did all the stuff, he told me, always check how additive is your design, how additive is your mock-up. Don't go too far buccally. check always, because you tend to design way too bulky at the beginning. That's like a beginner mistake of 3D smile design, right? You tend to design too bulky. So you want to design more lingually, as thin as possible, so that the patient has a beautiful feeling of veneers. And then two very important aspects. One was from Paolo Cano, which is also a legend in the smile design procedure. And he showed me and explained to me how important the lip support is. Patient comes, I don't like my smile, I want new veneers, and I want Botox. Why do you want Botox and lip fillers? Because my lip is not symmetric. Here on the right side, the lip is like goes up, and I don't like it. He analyzes the design. He analyzes the CBCT, finds out the first veneer, the composite veneers on the canine, was too bulky, pushing the lip forward. That's why the lip was looking unsymmetric. That's why the patient, influenced from social media and all the stuff, oh, I want Botox, correct my lip. It was nothing to do on the lip. It was just correcting the lip support for the canine and correcting the thickness of the design properly.
Incredible.
So then I realized, when you design a smile, even if you have now the teeth prep, you import the prep file calibrated with the original scan, because I want the original scan to be there as a visual reference for the lip support. Now, the second very big mistake that I see a lot, what happens? Your patient has a certain buccal surface, a round buccal surface or a straight buccal surface of the teeth. When you prep the teeth, you follow the patient buccal surface. So you have now a round buccal surface. Your prep is also round, and your design is a template that is also round. So it's going to cover perfectly. You can adjust. Everything is fine. The problem, what I see, is when you have a round tooth and the designers without experience put a flat template on the round buccal surface. And then suddenly it doesn't match. It doesn't cover. Then you need to design very buccally, because you need to cover this curve, right, with the straight buccal surface. The incisal edges are shifted. Then you try in the palatal area to fill the gap with material. At the end, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look natural. So considering in the decision process, round buccal surface, I go to my template list and I set filters. I want open embrasures and my patient has a round buccal surface. From the whole list, I filter only the templates that match my patient, because I want to keep the templates as natural as possible, as unedited as possible, to match with my patient. Otherwise, when I use all these tools, brushes, to deform, to add material, you transform a beautiful natural tooth into something that was so edited, it has nothing to do with the initial form before. And then you lose the natural appearance of a smile. So mistake number one, designing too bulky. Mistake number two, don't try to force a template that doesn't have the natural form of the patient's buccal surface, right? So these are two very, very cool aspects. And then suddenly, you know, when you consider in your decision-making all these aspects, it's so easy. Suddenly, oh, it matches. The incisal edges are beautiful. They follow the prep. Everything is good. You don't need so much editing.
It's incredible. And obviously, these are all templates that are available in SmileFy. I mean, anyone who's listening, I highly recommend you go onto the SmileFy website and check it out. It's probably the most powerful 3D smile design software for dentists. It really is dentists in mind. This is not a complicated lab software. It's quite incredible to use. How many templates are on SmileFy now, Ralph?
Right now we have 26 natural templates from Jan Haito and SmileFy templates. But with the new version, we will create with the Smile clone. I don't know the name exactly how I'm going to use it, but you are going to upload a model of patient with beautiful smiles, and we create the templates automatically that you can use immediately in this specific case. And then you have a natural smile donator, and you can choose if you want to select to use these templates only for you, or you offer these templates for the SmileFy community. And then they're going to be publicly listed in the app. And we're going to create a beautiful, huge library with smiles that you can use. Besides the feature that you can say, for this patient, I'm going to use his own teeth. Just correct the size and the position. And then you can see the smile design in a complete different way.
Amazing. I think another thing that springs to mind is, I mean, obviously that sounds like one of your visions to create this community and this sharing of different smile templates and profiles and all of that. What else is there that you can share with us, smile design? Do you see it as something that's reaching some sort of technological plateau? What's going to be the next big thing for smile design? Is it AI? What's on your mind and your developments for the company, if you can share that with us?
AI is for sure the most important next step for me. So I want really to have the mockup done in 3-4 minutes. I want everyone to print the mockup, the same appointment, having the control over the design, patient communication, making the decision, first appointment, printing done. But my big vision, and that's something that I worked very, very intense on, the technology of changing the shapes, morphing the shapes. You will have one template and sliders. With these sliders, you will close embrasures, open embrasures, round incisal edges, square incisal edges. You will be able to have infinite values between round and square, and you will very specifically design the embrasures with a slider for every single patient in relationship to the facial harmony. And then also on the other side, we will morph the buccal surface of the tooth, having more details or less details. It's going to be a morphing procedure where you decide yourself and adjust everything in your design very, very easily. The liquify option that we have created. So when I first created this liquify option to have the templates instead of solid objects, liquid, and then with the liquid just adjust the gingival margins so precisely and keeping the morphology of the natural templates perfect, not touching the surface, right? But then I realized for crowns, that's also very powerful. We think about smile design also, oh, that's the buccal surface. What if you have a crown? What if you need to design in the palatal area? What if the palatal area of your template has a different angulation because of the gingival margins in the palatal area? So instead of struggling with this aspect of the smile, you just modify the palatal area and you adjust only the palatal area to the gingival margins. And that's such a quick procedure. And it's so simple. You find out how it works. And then we keep actually the templates that we use more and more natural, untouched, and in the beauty of the natural stage they are, instead of going with hard brushes and killing every single detail from the natural morphology.
It's a really good point with the brushing is that I often see a lot of beginners to any CAD software. They get these templates and they think that the more they brush or add, remove, and try to get fancy, the better they're doing. But it's like the opposite. You'll never be able to, unless you're like incredible with a stylus or something, like those guys on the TikTok and all that sort of stuff. You see these dental designers with a stylus and carving out anatomy. But for the most of us on a software, once you get that anatomy by the computer, by the template, you almost want to minimize how much you touch it.
Yeah.
It's as good as it's going to be. You just want to make sure it's the right proportion and everything. So, what's funny? The more I hear you talk, the more I think that, SmileFy is developing so much more than just a smile design software. It's almost like a whole CAD software. What's drawing the line between a 3D smile design software and a CAD software? I know you don't do like full arch implants and dentures and all of that yet, maybe. But, what's stopping you from integrating directly with milling machines and printers so that people can just produce from the software?
That's coming. Nothing stops me. It's coming. It's in process. The thing was, now we release the veneers, right? We release the veneers, but the more you go into the deep expertise, then you need occlusion, right? Now with AI, we can correct the interproximal contacts. You design, you analyze, you see the errors or the crashes. Then with AI, you correct the interproximal spaces. Now, in this version that is already released, we also correct automatically the function. So we're going to have, for example, molars, right? You design the molar, but your design template doesn't match your lower arch, which is still patient original, right? So now we analyze how the molars touch each other and we correct automatically so that you can get the molars. And now we bring the articulator, occlusion, function, and then we have the complete picture of a treatment plan that can be connected to a milling machine and then milled. So that's everything is in process. But for me, the problem is because I developed all this stuff, I need to learn this stuff before I develop. So I get into areas that I never dreamed in my life I need to learn, like occlusion, how the articulator works and all this stuff.
Do you have a dental or dental technician background?
No. I'm a master of science.
I bet that you would probably know more about smile design given how much you've read than the average dentist. I would put money on that, given how much you've researched into the topic to invent this. Now, the other thing I wanted to bring up about smile design is, just briefly, with the advent of face scanners. So face scanners are becoming quite big in dentistry. There's a lot of talk about face scanners. I've tried the Ray Face and I'm trying the Miti Smile by Shining, and there's Revo Point. What's your thoughts about face scanners? Do you think that's the future of cosmetic dentistry? Everyone should use a face scanner. They're just much better than pictures, or, you would be the guy to ask because I'm sure you've seen hundreds, if not thousands of cases.
We worked with Rayface. Very soon, Rayface is going to be completely integrated and you can send your scan to SmileFy. We work with Shining 3D. Also, Shining 3D is going to be immediately sent to SmileFy. The precision of the frontal facial smile to take this picture properly is one of the biggest issues in general in dentistry. And when we don't have a perfect frontal smile, and the patient looks like this,
slightly at an angle, slightly downward, slightly to the left, to the right. It's not perfectly in the middle.
Yeah. And then it's very hard to analyze the facial driven smile design and the facial harmony, because it's very interesting when you design on the model and you have the idea, oh, my design looks beautiful on the model. As soon as you put this smile in the face, you see the problem, because everything is linked actually with the study of the facial flow. And the facial flow, written by Kyle Stanley, Christian Coachman, Eduardo Mann, and Bruno Pereira, says that the midline of the face is not a midline. It's a curve. Labella, tip of the nose, philtrum, chin. These points create a curve. And then if you follow the facial flow, if you follow the curve, the smile is considered in harmony with the face. If you go against it, you create a visual tension by crossing lines. The smile goes like this. The facial flow goes like this. Visual tension. When you put your smile from the model in the face, I say, whoa,
something's wrong.
I don't know.
Not right.
Something is not right. It looks good on the model, in the face, no. If your lower lip is perfectly round, you have a beautiful round lip, and you see there is a small difference between a canine right and canine left. Suddenly, the whole smile looks canted. It doesn't look in harmony with the face. And then you actually create a canted smile design on the model, but in the face looks perfectly in harmony with the patient. And then you realize the biggest risk for this analysis and the conclusion is the picture. If the patient looks like this,
downward,
you do have a different analysis. If the patient looks like this, you think you have an inverted smile, which is not right because the patient is just in the wrong angulation.
Upwards, too angled upwards, yeah.
With the facial scan, done. All these issues are resolved with Rayface. One click, perfect scan. We analyze. We see everything what we need to know.
There's still doubts. It's funny because I see it in all sorts of groups and social media, and dentists still doubt face scanners. I use them a lot in my practice. It's become a go-to. I think the Ray Face is an incredible facial scanner. and we use it for every cosmetic case. It's the go-to. The cosmetic case consists of the consultation, intraoral scan, face scan. That's just how it is. Now, there's still doubts. There's still people thinking that, no, they don't work. I guess it's because it's new technology, but in your experience and in mine, the idea that they don't work is based on nothing, right? I mean, in your experience, you think that face scanners are perfect, right? They're accurate. They do the job. They give so much data to the labs. Is that your experience too?
Yeah, definitely. But it's the same, it's the same discussion. I remember the same discussion with the impressions and the intraoral scan.
Yeah.
My impressions are the best in the world. I wouldn't change my impressions for any scanner in the world until the first scan. Yeah. Oh my God, that's amazing. It's amazing. You don't have to send all this stuff to the lab. You have a digital file. Oh my God, beautiful.
Yeah.
It's the same personal, development with technology. And to some point, everyone is going to adopt new and cool stuff. So
that's so true. And I think that's a great segue. I guess that's the main thing right now is that what's your advice? Because a lot of clinicians, a lot of labs are listening, and in social media and our own kind of personal groups together, we're always talking to each other, and you're talking to other KOLs and you're talking to other lead dentists around the world that doing all of the stuff and adopting smile design. But the reality is that's the minority. I mean, that's a very, very small minority in actual fact. A lot of people out there, and the more I go around the world at these conferences, the more I humble myself and realize, look, dentistry is different around the world. It's totally different. And for the vast majority of dentists, A, they're not doing this sort of work to start with, and B, there's real stress to get into this sort of technology. What would be your advice? What's your advice to people who are listening, who actually just want to know how? There's a lot of people who accept that digital is the future. They know the technology is there. They know there's so many advantages. What's some words of wisdom or your advice to them of how to navigate this, how to get into smile design, the benefits, and just technology as a whole in dentistry?
5 years ago, I would have advice for people. But the more I go deep into the area, I realize I don't have any advice for nobody, really for nobody, because giving advice, I think, is the most dangerous thing that you can do. Fact is, it's never about analog digital. Digital is a mirror of analog workflows. It continues actually the great work, the great workflows that were done analog, but digital. And as soon as everybody is going to just try digital, is going to realize we can optimize so much our time, which is the most valuable asset that we have in our life, time. I cannot spend 5 hours on something that I can do digital in half an hour. It's my time. I want the time with my family. I want the time for myself. I want my time back. So we can speed up our time. And the most important, and I see with every single case that we do and test and do, the most important aspect of digital is the learning curve with every single case in the team, having DICOM files, intraoral scans, analyzing on the big screen every single digital record of the patient, thinking, discussing, exchanging experience. This learning process is so powerful, and it's only possible with digital. Increasing the expertise for your team increases automatically the productivity, the time, the quality of the treatment plans, patient's care at the end. It is a natural development. We will go, if we want or not, more and more to digital, more and more to digital. And, it is a beautiful way to have an iPhone and to open a project, to see all the data, all the layers, everything on the phone, and sending with one click the full project to your surgeon and say, what do you think? We don't need a meeting. We don't need to meet. We don't need to sit together. You don't need to send messages, emails. No, we have the digital patient. That's our discussion table, the digital patient. It optimizes so much everything in the daily work. Everybody will try and they will get more and more excited, more and more excited.
I love that. I love the fact what you said about, the team. That's so true. I mean, that rings true, and it makes me think about our own team and our own, digitization process in the clinic and how much it's upskilled all our staff and resulted in better outcomes. And not just the clinicians, but also the DAs, the practice managers, the treatment consultants, the receptionists. Everyone is on a different level once you start digitizing. Look, Ralph, it's been an absolutely fabulous talk together. As someone who knows so much about smile designs, it's unbelievable. It's a true honor to speak to you today. And I appreciate your time to jump onto the podcast. I look forward to speaking again, maybe in the next couple of months or, next year sometime we can reflect about some of the changes and perhaps the AI discussion becoming less of a, this is coming in the future to maybe this is how we do it now. So thanks so much, Ralph. And once again, thanks for jumping on.
Thank you.
And that's it for this episode of Digital Dentistry Decoded. Thanks so much for listening, and thank you to Ralph Georg for joining me today. If you enjoyed the show, remember to rate and review us wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to sign up to our free digital dentistry courses at instituteofdigitaldentistry.com and follow us in your favorite podcast app so you can listen to the next episode. In our upcoming episode, we'll be diving deep into the world of dental 3D printing with the President of Healthcare at Formlabs, Guillaume Balliard. We'll explore how 3D printing is revolutionizing both laboratory and chairside applications and discuss Formlabs' innovative approach to this technology, from recent product launches to practical advice for integrating 3D printing into your practice. This episode will offer valuable insights for both seasoned digital dentists and those just starting out. Don't miss the opportunity to hear from one of the heads of Formlabs and one of the industry's leading voices on the future of 3D printing in dentistry. The digital dentistry revolution continues, and we're here to keep you at the forefront. You've been listening to another episode of Digital Dentistry Decoded. I'm Dr. Ahmad Al-Hassiny, helping you stay ahead of the curve in the dynamic world of digital dentistry. Thanks for listening.